Media Watch. James Creedon is with us in the studio. Hi there, James.
Evening, Laura.
We're going to start with the murder of the Russian opposition politician Boris Nemtsov. He was killed on Friday night in Moscow while he was walking along with his girlfriend, and there has been an awful lot of reaction to this in the Western world. Tell us about it.
That's right. The France 24 debate was looking at it this evening. The editorial of Le Monde is dedicated to this topic today. So just to give you an extract, first of all, of Le Monde's editorial, they say if the past is anything, teaches us anything, it is that we will probably never know who ordered the killing of Boris Nemtsov on the 27th of February, just as we never found out who gave the order for the killing of Anna Politkovskaya, the journalist who was killed back in 2006. And even if we will never be able to establish a criminal judgment in a court of law, we can at least pass moral judgment here. So a lot of criticism in Le Monde's editorial of the powers that be in Russia, essentially. And you're seeing similar criticisms in the Financial Times by Gideon Rachman, who is saying no outsider can know if Mr. Putin ordered the killing of Boris Nemtsov.
And we should say, of course, the Russian government have pledged a full and transparent investigation.
That's right, indeed. So officially, they're saying they'll do everything they can. But the FT also says the Russian president and his acolytes undoubtedly created the atmosphere of nationalist paranoia that made his assassination permissible. For example, he was being called on Russian state television a traitor over his comments about Russia's war in Ukraine. So
because he was about to release some of his writings on the situation in Ukraine, wasn't he?
That's right. And the big march that we saw on Sunday, he was going to be at the forefront of that. Here you have a cartoon in the Belgian press, Death of Nemtsov, and you have speech bubbles coming out of Putin's mouth saying, let's not forget the possibility of suicide or of death by natural causes or of an unfortunate accident. So I think this is what a lot of the speculation is centering around. You have one of our journalists, Anya Stroganova, for RFI, our sister radio channel in French, saying Putin and Medvedev and other Russian leaders won't be at the burial of Nemtsov, but the ambassadors of the European Union will be. So I think that pretty much says it all in terms of the people's suspicions regarding what happened.
Yes, a lot of speculation over his death. Let's talk a bit more about the investigation. This fueling speculation, I would imagine, 4 CCTV cameras right near the bridge where Nemtsov was murdered. Not one of them worked. That's
right. You can see here how close there's an image here showing where he was gunned down and how close it is to the Kremlin in central Moscow and St. Basil's
this is
Cathedral.
Like somebody being killed on the Place Concorde, isn't it? This
That's
Place
right.
Concorde. This is right in the middle of the city. This
exactly.
Isn't in some,
couldn't be more safely guarded or have more CCTV cameras. And you can see here images showing on the Kremlin walls the amount of CCTV cameras in this zone of central Moscow. You have photographs also on social media circled showing really the extent to which the authorities had a huge access to images and video of what was going on. Yet it appears, as this cartoon in the Moscow-based press points out, that many of them didn't seem to capture what was going on. At least those 4 close to the bridge. Also, a lot of memes online. We're seeing the famous "Je suis, I am" meme coming back as well, and others, images on social media of showing that in Russia, people are expressing their support for Boris Nemtsov.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to end on something a bit different. This is tell us about this. This is a British charity that wants to ban the smacking of children in France.
That's right. The Brits
Why in France?
Getting what would you say active in any case. Approach is the name of the charity. They've gone through the Council of Europe, based in Strasbourg, and in France there is an educational context clause. Now, even though the penal code bans any violence towards children, there are exceptions. For example, in an educational context for smacking or and such. And apparently 85% of adults in France, parents and grandparents, admit to having smacked children in their care. So it is a sort of culturally accepted thing to do in France. And so you have the Council of Europe via this charity, or the charity at least launched
I've seen
the
more
offensive.
British children, having tantrums in supermarkets than I've seen French children that always seem so very well behaved. I know it's a cliche, but they really do.
There is a stricter, I think, approach to parenting in France. It's from my observation, and so it's relaunching the whole debate here. It's been a debate over the last number of years about whether or not an outright ban on smacking needs to be brought in. Slate.fr are looking at it here. Should you give a smack to your child? And they have a graphic here saying, can you give a smack to your child? No. Even if the child is being unbearable? Yes, even if the child is being unbearable. What about if it's through their nappy or their trousers? No. So I think that there is this effort to re-educate.
If I don't agree with what you're doing, James, I'm not going to slap you, am I? Adults don't slap each other, do they? So why would we slap people who are much
This
smaller
is true.
and
And I think
able to defend themselves.
the blanket ban idea is certainly, I think, a noble one. In any case, I wonder how many, because every time this issue comes up in the press, you have all sorts of photos of children being smacked for it. And I'm just wondering, are these stock photos actually
No
creating
children were
any
harmed.
child abuse? I hope not. But you do see a lot of these images coming out across the press. Let's hope that that smack was never actually
I'm sure that's just
issued.
a little actress there. All right, James, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Laura.
That's it from Media Watch. Well, moving on, it's time for our focus report. And